Meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, welcome everybody. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. We got two sets of minutes here from November 7th and November 15th. If any questions, corrections, changes?
The only correction is in Councilman Carson's comments, we need to add the fact they said, "Welcome back, Bruce."
Okay.
But other than that, we're good.
All right, any other questions, comments? All right, we'll approve the minutes with that correction duly noted. All right, report of the town manager, Mr. Warner.
Thank you, Mayor Black, members of council. A few items of interest tonight. One, I wanted to report that the Bedford Fire Department has elected Todd Stone to serve as another term as fire chief. We will make that appointment formal on your end in January when we get back together under the provisions of the town code. Also wanted to report for the record, we recently held an employee appreciation event and recognized the following members of our team who have reached the following milestone anniversaries in their service, and I'd like to read those out for the benefit of the minutes. Employees who've been here 5 years are Anita Coffey, Vincent Deffabaugh, Robert Kimbrell, and Joe Peterson. Employees with 10 years are Jeff Kennedy and David Morris. John Cash was recognized for serving for 15 years. Rachel Worley has served for 20 years. And I noted that we probably violated some child labor laws when she was hired, but Deborah Anderson has now been with us for 25 years. And Rick Dellinger has been with us for 35 years, and we also recognized his retirement at the event. So I appreciate the service of all those folks and all the members of our team. On an administrative note, we'll let the public know town offices will be closed in observance of the holidays on Friday, December 23rd, Monday, December 26th, and Monday, January the 2nd. And at this time, I'm going to recognize my colleague, Chief Ronnie Lewis, to share some information with you about the PD.
All right, hello, Mayor, Council. We want to report today, we've promoted 4 corporals and a new person in our community resource position. Our department's main focus is on our employees' wellness and their development as far as upward mobility, lateral movement, and also making sure that they have continuing education. From that focus, we developed a corporal position. This corporal's main focus is going to be, they're going to be our main field training officers. They're going to be the ones that when we have someone come in, they'll be training them, and they'll also be supervisors when the sergeant is out. And this also gives us an opportunity now to develop people, our employees, so when they get to that rank of sergeant and above, they'll be absolutely ready. So the names that I'm about to read off to you, these people weren't promoted because they were going to be the best corporals. They were promoted because they're going to be sergeants, lieutenants, captains, and I'm sure someday chiefs. What we want to do is make sure that we're keeping that leadership tree in the town. So I want to congratulate Corporal Troy Weaver, Corporal Stephen Swain, Corporal Adia Castaneda, and Corporal Joshua Peltier. They are our first wave of corporals here, and I'm excited. We did a corporals onboarding training last week, and they finished their 3.5 days of training, so I'm proud of them. Also, holding those same values of community and development for our employees, we developed a community resource officer position. The main goal for this community resource officer position is to do it in reverse, is to take care of the community's needs as far as their wellness and their training. This person will also serve as our public information officer, a recruitment officer, where we're going to be doing active recruiting in areas outside of Bedford, throughout the, in other states, and other initiatives. So please join me in congratulating our new community resource officer. Is going to be Officer Ryan Dolan. It was an extremely tough process, and I'm proud of all 5 of these people. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Also concludes my report.
All right. Any questions for Mr. Warner? Or?
I'm real quick, so Rick Dillinger has retired.
Yeah, it was bound to happen.
Yeah. He's been very, very faithful.
Yeah, and
It was a
actually,
long time.
cumulatively, I think he had 39 years altogether with town. It was just, the most recent bout was 35 consecutive years.
Yeah, well, good deal. Thank you, that's all I have.
All right, next item, appearance before council. We got anybody signed up? No, not this evening, all right. Council comments. Mr. Hart, we'll start with you.
Okay, first I want to welcome everybody to the meeting tonight. Thank you for coming out. I appreciate the work that Mr. Buttram does with EDA. He's doing an excellent job. Keep it up. And I also want to recognize all the employees that reached milestones. The only one I see here tonight is Deborah, 25 years. That is incredible, 25 years with the town. Thank you for everything you do. Keep up the great work. I know that I can't speak for the rest of the council here, but I know that if it wasn't for Deborah, we couldn't even do half as good of a job as what we do if it wasn't for you. Thank you for everything you do. And Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy New Year, and be safe.
Bruce.
Oh, my turn. Okay. You folks that missed the lovely dinner with the town employees, Bart and Deborah did a wonderful job on that, and you missed a good meal. So sorry that you weren't there next year. But Deborah did a whole lot of work, and Bart was backing her up. So we appreciate him backing her up. And he had a good time. He ate a lot. So
I did.
CJ.
On that same note, I hated not to be there myself. My youngest son and his family from Northern Virginia came in and Thursday afternoon and left Sunday, but I don't see them a lot, so I hated not to be there. Chief Lewis, appreciate what you're doing. Sounds like you're trying to keep them in-house and keep up the good work. Finally, this will be our last meeting for the year, so wish everyone a very Merry Christmas, a safe and Happy New Year. And see some of you all before then, but some next year.
Yep.
Stacy.
Well, I just want to say congratulations to the new corporals and the resource officer that you promoted in the town. So that should do a fine job under your leadership. Thank everybody who was involved with that dinner. That dinner was a great dinner. Who did come, it was very good food. Hopefully everybody can come to it next year. And just thank all our employees and everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year this year. So.
Echo all those comments and a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Well, congratulations again to you, Chief, for all the work that you and your officers are doing. And looking at this news release, Ms. Cantrell, congratulations to you too and your team for the award that you received. You not only came to us, hit the ground running, you've been running 90 miles an hour. Ms. Deborah, you know we thank you for your service. We need you, and we appreciate all that you do. I got to echo Bruce. I think we would be up the creek if he wasn't here, so we planning on doing this for a while, so.
Amen.
I'm just throwing that out there. Thank everybody. I want to thank the council for it. It's been a good year. We've had our ups and downs and some things that we're still in work, but I think we've all come together as a council and we've accomplished some good things, and we got some good things coming down the pipe, and we're going to accomplish them too. So I want to thank all of you. Hope you have a wonderful holiday. Be safe out there. Stay away from Walmart. No, I'm just joking, but hope y'all have a wonderful holiday and a happy New Year. Be safe.
Well, I'll echo some of those same sentiments, Chief Lewis, if you'll pass my congratulations along to the corporals and the community resource officer. I appreciate that. Once again, appreciate Deborah and Beth Clayton. I think also worked with Deborah a lot from Human Resources on the employee dinner. I think it was, for a first attempt in a good while, I think it was a good turnout, and look forward to that becoming a new kind of continuing tradition, so that we can celebrate our employees who do all the daily lifting for us and for the citizens of Bedford. So, we appreciate everything they do, and it's appropriate that we express that to them on any chance we can. So, want to also say thank you to, the police department and Public Works. December 3rd here was a very busy day for them. I mean, with the Peaks of Otter Classic, the Christmas parade, the tree lighting. Chief Lewis did an excellent job of making sure both ends of the electrical cords met and the light came on just fine. So, but appreciate it. I know it was a very busy day for all of you all, and we appreciate those efforts as well. So,
Can I backtrack just a minute? I don't want to forget this lady, because this lady does a marvelous job with the housing authority and everything that she do. Ms. Sir, thank you for all you do. She's been working hard on some things, which I'm sure all of you do, but thank you. It's been a kind of a rough year for us too, but we've come through, but I thank you very much for what you do. Thank you.
and like I said, I wish everybody Merry Christmas and look forward to 2023. We like Councilman Carson said, we've got a lot of forward momentum. We just got to keep it going and see some of these good things we've been working on come to fruition next year, hopefully, and move on to the next items on our agenda. So, thank you. Next item, report on council committees. So we had two committees meet this evening, the Property Committee and the Streets Committee. So Property Committee.
Okay, Property Committee met tonight to discuss a few things in closed session. Some good things are coming down the pike, but we just got to make sure we have our I's dotted and T's crossed before we can really announce it just yet.
And the Streets Committee.
Streets Committee met this evening. We talked about speed bumps on Smith Street. I think we came to a resolution to a point where putting flashing signs out there on the crosswalk on Smith Street. So that's all.
All right. Revisions to the agenda, we do need to add, let's see here, we've got one closed session on here. Is that the one, or I need to add this one here as well, correct? All right, so I need to add a closed session pursuant to section 2.2-3711A5 of the Code of Virginia as 1950 is amended for discussion concerning a prospective industry where no previous announcement has been made. And then I also need to add a third one for personnel. We just need to discuss the process for town manager's annual evaluation. So that would be under
A1.
A1.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we'll just add a closed session pursuant to section 2.2-3711A1 of the Code of Virginia is amended to discuss personnel matters. And we'll be able to go in all, we'll just make a motion to go in all three of those.
One motion is fine.
Okay, all right. All right, so those items are added to the agenda. The first item on public hearing permitting a private utility solar panels by conditional use permit as tax parcel 159A2CT. Mr. Warner.
Notice is hereby given of a public hearing to be held by Town Council at 7:00 p.m. on Tuesday, December 13, 2022, at the Town Municipal Building Council Hall for the purpose of hearing consideration of a request for a conditional use permit to install a roof-mounted solar array for Sidney Jackson, located at 2179 McGee Street, Bedford, Virginia, tax parcel 159-A-2CT. The requester is Freedom Forever Virginia, LLC, 4312 Eubank Road, Henrico, Virginia, 23231. Information has been on file in the Office of Planning and Community Development, and tonight anyone who is in favor of or opposed to the request now has an opportunity to express his or her views at this hearing.
All right, with that, I'll open the public hearing on a consideration of a request for a conditional use permit to install roof-mounted solar array for Cindy Jackson located at 2179 McGee Street. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak to that? If not, we'll close the public hearing. So the public hearing is closed. We'll move to a resolution permitting a private utility solar panels by conditional use permit at 159A2C-2.
Mayor Black, members of council, as we just noted in the public hearing notice, the subject property is located at 2179 McGee Street. It is zoned R2 and is owned by Sidney and Kenara Jackson. The applicant is Freedom Forever Virginia LLC, which effectively is their agent in this process. The applicant proposes to construct roof-mounted solar panels termed private utility in the zoning ordinance. The R2 zoning district allows this with a conditional use permit in section 604.02.A. Planning Commission held a public hearing on November 3rd, 2022. The applicant representing the property owner was the only person who spoke in the hearing. There was no discussion but one question of glare. The commission voted 5-0 to recommend approval to council without conditions. Attached to the action form are the staff report from that meeting, as well as the application and site plan sheet. Tonight, Town Council is requested to consider adopting a resolution to issue a conditional use permit for residential roof-mounted solar panels as a private utility use. As part of a resolution approving the application for conditional use permit, council may also impose conditions. Council also has the option to not adopt the resolution.
All right, do we have a motion
So moved
to approve the,
to approve it.
all right, so we have a motion to approve the,
Second.
all right, we have a second. Any questions?
Question. So I know we approved 2 solar panel, roof panels a while back. How did they turn out? Did they turn out okay, or did anybody have any issues with them or problems?
Not aware of any negative feedback received by our code enforcement officer.
And I asked Bart earlier just a technical question, why was the business person being the applicant, not the property owner? And Bart explained to me that that is allowed, but I did not know that, so I just wanted to, why is that? But
Wasn't the
anyway.
last one approved for the top of the middle school, wasn't that, or was?
That was the property owner,
We did
That's what I'm
approve,
saying.
we did approve them for the top of middle school as well.
So
That
we
was
don't
Mr.
really know the outcome on that, other than,
no,
other than.
and there was a couple other small residential ones we were approving.
There was one down on, what's that street down there?
It's in the Western Hills neighborhood. I can't remember which street.
Hampton.
And in Hampton Ridge. Yep.
All right.
I'm curious, I cannot remember, I'm sure y'all have said, how does the electric department work with the customers as far as them reaping the benefits from the solar panels?
Basically, we explained that the net metering arrangement is such that they keep the power they generate on site, but anything in excess goes back into the grid that we maintain, and we do not compensate them for that.
So basically, they don't have a separate meter for that, it's,
Not
they
currently.
just, they're not using as much of our grid.
Yeah, and it's kind of a real-time thing. I
I
don't
got
think
you.
many of these folks have batteries.
More power
at this
to them.
point.
Yeah, okay, okay.
And the electric department have a special meter for them people, don't they?
Well, no. Everything that's, like I said, everything that's generated is wired into their box at home and basically goes to whatever is dedicated to those panels. But if there is anything that kind of goes back out in the grid, it's just back out into the grid.
These folks are not putting in battery backup.
Not that I'm aware of, because
That's what a lot of.
that technology's coming, I'm sure, but it's similar to our hydro operation. When it's generating, it's putting it into the system, and if it's not, and we're not using it, it just goes back into the grid.
This is not specific to this request, but just curious, has the planning commission, Darren, or in this rezoning, the zoning ordinance rewrite, has there been any consideration of not requiring
No,
this?
we're not that far along yet in the process. We're still, he's coming once every couple of meetings, I think, and I don't think we've hit that point yet in the.
Because I think if we come to a conclusion that we're gonna approve every one of these, you know, in any kind of, whether it's residential or business, you know, I don't know. That may be something, Mary, y'all would want to consider.
There may be one that's controversial at some point.
There may be,
I don't
but,
know.
you know, I mean, yeah, so I don't know. It was just a thought.
The one we granted for the middle school attracted a lot of attention.
Yeah, that one did.
That was all about, though, whether or not it's going to cause glare.
Yeah, the glare.
I'm going, glare, really?
All right, so just a thought, you know, I mean,
No, I know.
or maybe for residential use, not business use or something, you know, I don't know. But that's kind of a side issue, so let's get back to the request here. So is any other questions or comments or if not?
I think we'd have a hard time declining it, particularly since we encourage putting solar onto our, you know, you've got solar, so why can't I?
Okay.
I'm sorry, I just think that's kind of a silly notion.
All right, so,
Mr. Carson? Mr. Haley?
Aye.
Mr. Hartwick?
Aye.
Mr. Johansson?
Aye.
Mr. Showen?
Aye.
Mr. Stanley?
Aye.
Mayor Black?
Aye.
Motion carries with 7 ayes.
all right, the next item is an ordinance on the rebate of personal property bills.
At the November 15, 2022 council meeting, Town Council approved extending the due date of personal property bills to January 31st, 2023. As a part of that discussion, council also asked the town attorney and staff to draft an ordinance which would provide a one-time rebate to citizens of up to $30 per account, but not to exceed the total amount due. This rebate option assists citizens experiencing a large tax increase due to the change in the assessment values. Tonight, staff is asking council to adopt the ordinance approving a one-time rebate on personal property accounts with an amount due.
All right, so do we have a motion to approve the ordinance to provide a rebate of $30 per account
So
for
moved.
personal property tax relief?
Make a motion that we adopt the ordinance approving a one-time rebate on personal property accounts with a one-time, with the amount due.
All right, so we got a motion, we got a second?
Second.
All right, discussion.
Question. So, how about if someone has 2 or 3 cars? How would that affect on
It's just
one
per
car?
account, right? Per account, not per car.
Okay.
Per account.
Well, I've talked to Ann and I've talked to Bart. You know, I'll be honest, I've got a little bit of angst of the way we're calculating it. I mean, I want to give our citizens property tax relief, but due to the fact the assessments were so high. But I just kind of ran some numbers, you know, when your amount of relief based on $30, the more assessed value you have is obviously a lot less than if you have less assessed value. So it's not an across, and we all know that, you know, but we're balancing that against some issues we have. One, with getting the assessments so late where we couldn't really make some changes from the assessed value piece. 2, we've got some constraints with the fact that we really can't just go in and willy-nilly and adjust assessments in the system, because the system is set up for those tax assessments to flow straight in there from J.D. Powers. And there's some reasons for that, is so that no one can play around with those numbers. So it's a safeguard, you know, for our finance staff. So it becomes very kind of cumbersome and labor intensive. I mean, I know Ann has spent, she told me today, a week just making the change to the bills to put the $30 in there. And that's just on 980 some accounts. So to go in and change the assessment and then figure the credit and do that on every particular vehicle is, it's not just 980 bills, then you've got multiple vehicles on that bill. So I recognize that we need to get these bills out to the citizens, and, if we want to continue to have them due at the end of January. I did have, I don't know if there's any room to do an additional credit for people that have multiple vehicles. We talked about that a little bit. If you have the one vehicle, you get the $30 credit. I mentioned maybe to Ann that if you have multiple vehicles, you get an additional maybe $15 credit, which, that's going to be equate to, even at the maximum, she couldn't figure exactly today because to figure out how many of those 900 some bills have multiple vehicles that are actually getting taxed, because remember, you're not getting taxed on anything that's assessed at $20,000 and less.
Yes.
So, I don't think it's going to materially affect the number we would receive in additional tax revenue. Even at an additional $15, if the 900, or, the 1,000, say 1,000, just round numbers, if all 1,000 bills had another, car on there, so we're talking another $15,000 of potential relief spread out, so myself, I would like us maybe to consider that. I know that's additional work for Ann. She has those bills ready to go right now. I get that. But I would just like for us to consider an additional level of relief for people that have multiple vehicles.
Well, I will say, and from our last meeting, this is what we agreed upon, and I'm all for any kind of relief. But if you really look at it, it's to an extent an unfair system in that for people who have newer vehicles compared to older vehicles, everybody gets the same across the board. But hey, I'm all for whatever relief we agree upon. So whatever thought you have, Mayor, my ears are open. But I do have one question for Ann. And the thought came to me in what has become probably one of my more rare moments of deep thinking. Okay, are the bills ready now?
The adjustments for $30 have been posted, so if you approve it tonight, they would go out in the mail tomorrow.
The reason I ask is, okay, if I wait till January and pay this, I cannot deduct it off my 2022 taxes. So I have to pay this by December 31st if I want to deduct it off 2022 taxes. So yeah, and some of us need all the help we can get. So, but I can come in, or the bills will go out before December 31st.
Yes, if we make any changes, I would caution, it took me about a week to do the adjustments the first time. It would probably take me about another week, depending on the level of adjustments that I have to do again.
Yes.
But
Okay.
that would be the only hindrance.
Yeah. And we'll say this, man. I did not see Ann smiling when you started saying.
Well, I know. We had this conversation this afternoon. I understand that. But I felt I had to say it,
No, I understand.
But I'm fine with whatever.
But my whole thing is I want to be sure for those who may want to pay them by the end of this month can come in, or if they haven't received them, come in and be able to pay them at the downstairs.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. That's my understanding.
Any other
Right here.
thoughts,
Oh,
questions?
something that happened was, a while back, I ran to someone between council meetings, and they were under the impression that, oh, we're gonna get 30% back, and I had to explain to them, look, it's only $30. So I don't know if anyone on council has ran to that or not, but someone was under the impression, ooh, 30% is like, nope, $30.
Yeah.
So I just want to let everybody know about that.
Well, just keep in mind, like I said, we do give 100% of the first 20,000, and our tax rate is substantially lower than.
Yes.
So, I mean, we're given a lot of relief. I mean, so whatever everybody feels, any other questions?
I see what you're saying, and it makes sense. I don't know if I like the idea of Ann having to do this for another week. I mean, we're being pretty fair, I think, as it is. But you make a good point. I prefer not to have her go through that again, because not only is she doing that for a week, she's not doing other things for a week. So,
Right.
and that'd be 2 weeks of not working on other things.
It's not worth it.
It's important, but I'm okay with going ahead as it is. But you've made a good point.
Okay.
I'm the same way. I mean, I'm ready to just let it roll. But I agree with what you said.
All right. We ready to move?
We don't make a man.
Nah.
Call for the vote.
Roll call.
Mr. Haley?
Aye.
Mr. Hartwick?
Aye.
Mr. Johansson?
Aye.
Mr. Schoen?
Aye.
Mr. Stanley?
Aye.
Mr. Carson? Mayor Black?
Aye.
Motion carries with 7 ayes.
Saved by the bell.
Choked you, baby.
All right, let's move on to the next item. Let's see here. Next one is the Bedford Regional Water Authority contribution. This is in follow-up to what we did, I guess, the special meeting we had last month.
Yes, at a called meeting on November 7th, 2022, council adopted a resolution of support for the Bedford Regional Water Authority for a contribution of $220,000 towards a capital project which would benefit the citizens of the town of Bedford. In order to properly account for this cash contribution, staff has proposed a budget amendment which would allocate funding from the prior year reserves to an expenditure line item for the Bedford Regional Water Authority. Tonight, Town Council is requested to approve the following budget amendment, which will appropriate funding to the Bedford Regional Water Authority from prior year reserves in the following manner. By creating a budget entry of a revenue item titled Prior Year Fund Balance Increase of $220,000 and an expenditure increase entitled Bedford Regional Water Authority in a corresponding amount of $220,000.
All right, so do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
You said 220,000?
220,000, yes.
Yeah, it's got 200 on it, that's why I was,
Yeah, so yeah, it was 220 to match the ordinance or the resolution we passed. So right now, we're saying prior year reserves, but we could actually, at some point, or do we need to, at this point, say we would rather use some of our ARPA, because our ARPA funds went green, correct? So, we could at some point move that and say, or not, or do we,
We can move money around in the budget.
right now, but we don't need to make that particular decision, we just need to make the decision.
We really just want to set up the appropriation,
Okay.
so we're ready to go.
All right.
For 220, right, not 2.
Yes,
220,
for
yes, I'm
220, yes,
sorry.
that's corrected.
We already kind of decided on this, didn't we?
Yeah, this was, yes. I guess the only other question I asked, I think I asked Bart about working on an agreement now, taking the resolutions and actually draft an agreement with the Water Authority, and I think Mike, so we're aware that we need to do that, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, any other questions? All right, roll call.
Mr. Hartwick?
Aye.
Mr. Johansson?
Aye.
Mr. Schoen?
Aye.
Mr. Stanley?
Aye.
Mr. Carson?
Aye.
Mr. Haley?
Aye.
Mayor Black?
Aye.
Motion carries with 7 ayes.
All right, so let's see here. We have I need a motion to go into closed session pursuant to section 2.23711A8 of the Code of Virginia of 1950 as amended for consultation with legal counsel regarding legal matters, and that's all right.
Animal control.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a service we've been talking about with the county. All right. And then also closed session pursuant to section 2.2-3711A 5 of the Code of Virginia of 1950 is amended for discussion concerning a prospective industry where no previous announcement has been made, and that's in regards to the economic development project on Park Hill Road. And then finally, the personnel one.
3711A1.
Yeah, I got it.
Concerning the town manager's performance evaluation.
Exactly. So, a motion to go in, pursuant to section 2.2-3711A1. You said 1, right?
Yes, sir.
For personnel to discuss the process for the town manager's annual
And we'll just tag
evaluation.
team it for each one.
All right, so one motion for all three of those.
So moved.
We got a motion, second, roll call.
Mr. Johansson?
Aye.
Mr. Schoen?
Aye.
Mr. Stanley?
Aye.
Mr. Carson? Mr. Haley?
Aye.
Mr. Hartwick?
Aye.
Mayor Black?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
All right, so for the first one, we
That one, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification resolution applies. And two, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the council. Motion for.
Good motion for Stacy, a second.
Second.
Bruce, roll call.
All right, Mr. Schoen,
Aye.
Mr. Stanley.
Aye.
Mr. Carson.
Aye.
Mr. Haley. Mr. Hartwick.
Aye.
Mr. Johansson.
Aye.
Mayor Black.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Real quick, Drew, I don't know if you remember, so our next meeting is the organizational meeting at the start of the first,
Right.
do we just adjourn this meeting to then, or did we just,
New meeting. It's a new meeting.
so we just adjourn this?
You adjourn to that meeting.
That's what I'm trying to remember too. I thought we always just adjourned this last meeting to,
I've never known one of these to not be adjourned to go, so I'm not sure why you, is it not, so has it been noticed, the January meeting?
I mean, because it's the only purpose of that meeting is to reform,
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
we had the election, so we had the three that had to be sworn in and.
I've been
So I guess we go either way, but if we adjourn, then we'll just need
I
to
get
let
called
Deborah know
one
she's
more
gonna
time
have
on the
to
screen.
do notice.
Notice for the fourth.
That's why I was hoping she was still out there.
No.
She, yeah, why don't you, oh, well,
I could try to text her.
why don't you, if, yeah, what,
might
I don't
get her
want,
on the
but
phone.
she usually is so prepared, she'll tell me if I need to do that, but, because the meeting is on, what's that, Tuesday, January the 2nd?
Not second,
It's actually
it's
the
the third.
Third, January 3rd, it's Tuesday, because Monday's the holiday, right, I'm sorry, yeah.
That's okay. It's not a normally scheduled.
It's not a normally scheduled
No.
meeting, correct?
Yeah, it's not.
Just,
It's
for you
the
to be
first
sworn in.
Tuesday.
I think most time,
We normally
Just to
meet
make
on the
this a
second
continu- not a
Tuesday.
continuation.
that'd make a continuation of this
This is
meeting.
Are we okay doing that?
I would probably tell you to notice the meeting either way, frankly, you're not, I mean, noticing a meeting is not very difficult.
Right.
Putting something on the website, and putting something on the bulletin board downstairs, it's not an advertisement that you have to run.
Right.
So I would,
Either way is okay.
I would notice it anyways, just to make sure the public can't say they weren't on notice of the
So
organizational meeting.
you would just adjourn this
I would
meeting?
just adjourn and
That's my
issue the
thinking.
notice.
Okay, all
I
right,
wouldn't worry about it.
okay, all right, meeting adjourned.
Good job.
Thank you.
Good job.